those are not the only issues that Joe Biden has, though. Obviously, there are concerns about his age. There's also concerns about the way that he has destroyed his previous winning coalition out of, absolute fealty and unconditional support for Israel in their assault on the Gaza Strip. John Fetterman, though, unshaken in his support for Joe Biden and saying that anyone who would criticize the man, and by criticize, I mean just like literally describe his policies or his current condition as evidenced by what all of us can see and hear with our own eyes and ears, anyone who would criticize him should just go ahead and fly the MAGA flag, put the MAGA hat on. Let's take a listen.
The president is going to win here in Pennsylvania. And I've always believed that whoever wins Pennsylvania is going to be the next president as well, too. And this is going to be, it's going to be difficult. And we all have to lean in on that. And we also have to start having, all kinds of Democrats criticizing the president, too, publicly. I don't understand why. I don't know what's in it for you to do that, whether you're just chasing clout or you want to make it in the news or anything like that. But if you're not willing to just support the president now and say these kinds of things, you might as well just get your MAGA hat because you now are helping Trump at this.
Love how
Mika's
I love how Mika,
that's what really made
who holds herself out as a journalist. Oh, yeah. If you're not just engaged in complete propaganda and denial of the reality in front of all of us, then you might as well put your MAGA hat on. Like, these are the same people who love to, including John Fetterman, loves to talk about democracy.
Yeah, of course.
Could you be, I mean, this is North Korea-style propaganda. This is like, you cannot question or say one critical word of the dear leader or, you are an enemy of the state. That's basically the position here.
That's what he says. And, we have an MSNBC panel. They actually did a focus group of voters in Michigan. Many of them Muslim Americans or activists around Gaza. And, these are not MAGA people, folks, but they are just Democrats. They're very upset with Biden, and they've got some choice words for him. And I think for the John Fettermans of the world, let's take a listen.
Is there a pathway forward for you with Biden?
Oh, absolutely not. You cannot keep killing people with our money and just keep thinking that, oh, we are stupid enough to elect you again because we'll fall in line. We'll forget. This is an insult to me as a voter.
For you, Biden has a pathway forward.
Biden has a pathway forward. It's not
and what does that look like?
That is him calling for a permanent and immediate ceasefire. The straightforward, simple answer for the Biden administration is push for a ceasefire, stop aiding Israel in their war crimes, and I guarantee you there are enough people who would be willing to deal with it and vote for the man. It is, in so many words, insane to me to have the Democratic Party and the Biden administration sit here and essentially say, if Trump happens, it's your fault.
If you don't want a Trump presidency, then are you not worried about what he could do domestically to this country?
I am. It's like a vaccine. I'm willing to take short-term pain for a long-term gain. I'm willing to let go of Joe Biden and oppose Joe Biden, make him a one-term president, punish Joe Biden by making him a one-term president and pairing his loss with the genocide in Gaza.
Why does our democracy, why is having a Trump presidency more important than those people's lives?
Yeah.
Why is our democracy more important than thousands of men, women, and children being killed?
Oof, all right. I don't know, Krystal. I don't see a lot of those. Well, okay, that one guy, he said, he's like, yeah, I could see a pathway back to him. But, one of the points that some of the other voters made, and I think you've made this one too, some of the political price of this is baked in, period. And it's like a lot of these people, they may never come back, even at this point, if there is some change in U.S. policy, just because of the initial actions in the first 100 days or so. So I am increasingly convinced this is going to be a problem. And I think it's not just because of Michigan. I think it really is an overall depressive effect of chaos, a weakening of the coalition across the board. In the same way that Biden's decline really happened in the polls after Afghanistan, it wasn't really just because of Afghanistan. It was because 9 different things all hit at once, but it was a precipitating factor. I think Gaza and Israel has now entered that territory.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people who see this as a crime against humanity and as Joe Biden, facilitating, being directly complicit, spending our tax dollars on these, bombs to kill children in the Gaza Strip, it is a moral red line. And so the consequence of, but you might elect Trump, it's like, that's not on me, that's on you. Right. That is on you. And what you have done in our name and with our support and backing from the previous election campaigns. So I think a lot of people, this is just a red line beyond which they will not cross. And, even for the gentleman who said, I can see my way back to him, the series of policy changes he laid out are things that are not going to happen. So, I mean, even for him, I think it's very unlikely that he's able to be persuaded at the end of the day to come back to Joe Biden. But, there's a much more immediate question right now this week, which is how many votes is uncommitted going to get in this Michigan primary, which is on Tuesday. I mean, Joe Biden at this point, obviously is going to be the Democratic nominee unless he drops out or dies or gets thrown in prison or whatever the black swan events that are on the table for him are, same as Trump. He's going to be the Democratic nominee, but there is a quite organized an effort with now quite a bit of relatively mainstream support to register a protest against Joe Biden by voting uncommitted. Actually, one of the most telling things I saw, Saagar, was Gresham Whitmer has been sent out to the Sunday shows of CNN and wherever to try to make the case to affirmatively vote for Joe Biden in Michigan. I believe it was in an interview with Dana Bash, where she would not set any expectations for how she thought Joe Biden would do in the state against uncommitted. Which showed me a level of nervousness that I was, frankly, a bit surprised by. But one of the latest supporters of the uncommitted campaign is lifelong Michigan resident Michael Moore, who, whatever you think about Michael Moore, he has been very prescient in his political analysis, especially in the state of Michigan. He's had his finger on the pulse of how people are thinking there. And he went on MSNBC and a variety of other places to explain why he is backing the effort to vote uncommitted. Let's take a listen to that.
I guess I'm a recovering Catholic at this point, but Joe Biden he's one of the few presidents in my lifetime that actually, when they went to church, like he means it. Jimmy Carter was like that. I think, but very few presidents, I think he does mean it. And I'm just, if I had a chance to talk to Joe Biden, the first thing I want to ask him is, do you still go to mass? I mean, what's going on here? Why are you participating in something that's killing civilians and children and 30,000 now dead? He's going to cost himself the election. He's going to, if Trump has any chance, it's that the decision that he's made to embrace slaughter, carpet bombing, babies in incubators, dead because they cut off the electricity. On and on and on.
So explaining there his horror and how Joe Biden is responsible for potentially getting Trump reelected. Michael Moore, someone who has the most maximalist views of the potential danger of another Trump presidency. And that's important to keep in mind as well, as some of the people who are saying they're going to vote uncommitted in Michigan or are supporting that campaign are people who, really believe in the harm of a Donald Trump presidency, of him getting reelected, feel it is very existential, but also feel that Joe Biden himself is imperiling his reelection chances. This one surprised the hell out of me. Put this next one up on the screen, guys. Beto O'Rourke, blast from the past, is supporting the uncommitted campaign in Michigan's Tuesday presidential primary. He says he agrees with the aims and the goals. We should have a ceasefire. There should be a return of each and every single one of those hostages. There should be an end to this war, and there should be a negotiated solution to Palestinian statehood. All of that needs to happen, and I share that concern that the U.S. is not doing close to enough to bring those things to pass. He goes on, he lays out some history here in his thinking. He says the campaign to vote uncommitted is not without precedent. When Martin Luther King Jr. and Andrew Young first approached Lyndon Baines Johnson about passing the Voting Rights Act of 1964, the president told them he didn't have the political power to get it passed. King and Young spent the weeks and months that followed organizing to get Johnson that mandate. It culminates in John Lewis leading that march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in March of 1965, almost being beaten to death in the process and really galvanizing the conscience of the country. Within 8 days, Johnson convenes a joint session of Congress and by that summer has passed and signed into law the Voting Rights Act of 1965. I know that Joe Biden is a good man. I don't know that. But anyway, he's saying that. I know that he wants to do the right thing. Also don't know that. Sometimes political pressure helps a president get there, and that may be what's needed now. So that is Beto's thinking here. And Saagar, many people have commented on the extraordinary turn of events that has Bernie Sanders endorsing Joe Biden, including in the Michigan primary, and Beto O'Rourke coming out for a ceasefire and for voting uncommitted.
I didn't know that he endorsed him in the Michigan primary. That's crazy. He did. Remember, he won Michigan back in 2016. That was a big deal. That I have to toy with that one in my mind.
Did not see that one coming.
Certainly did not see that one coming. Like I said, I think Biden is probably going to win. It's really just a question of whether they're going to get a decent amount there on the ballot. If they can crack anywhere between, what do you think, 10%? That's extraordinary.
10%
right?
would be a lot.
10% would be a lot.
I think what I heard from the organizer is that their original goal was 10,000 votes.
Okay.
10,000 votes. I don't know what that would be as a percentage, but I would think that I don't know. But I would think they're in line for, I mean, given the level of national attention and support, given the number of college towns in the state of Michigan, given the sizable Arab American population, had the mayor of Dearborn come out and say, vote uncommitted. I saw a Detroit councilwoman come out and say, vote uncommitted. You've got Rashida Tlaib, you've got Michael Moore, you've now got Beto O'Rourke. So it's got some momentum. What does it amount to? I don't know. But, it's at least an attempt to send some kind of a Democratic message to Joe Biden. Whether or not he is concerned by that or heeds their calls to change policy is another question altogether.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.